everybody. Welcome to FMA Talk Martial Chronicles. I'm your host, Datu Tim, with my co-host.
PG Tye's here.
And we are joined by the enemy, the other group out there, a good friend of ours, Dean Franco from FMA Discussion.
Good deal.
Enemy, you guys can have it.
Frenemy. No. So, and of course, Eric says hello from Portland, Oregon. How you doing?
All right.
So this is gonna be okay. So this is gonna be a little educational because I don't think Dean has done StreamYard before.
No. Actually, when I did the KI conclusive theme, I was on Paulo's, who also uses. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you'll get to see some different features and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking into it.
Like this right here, we get to say that, hey, Dan.
Dan's a good guy from Pennsylvania.
Really. Yeah, he says hello. And then Billy, all the way from the Philippines, one of our longtime friends. Hey, is that supposed to be Billy Joel, not Billy Joel?
There you go.
Billy.
Magandang umaga from Philippines.
Magandang umaga.
Yeah, all right.
So we're starting a little late tonight. That's on me. I got stuck at the school, and it is what it is. So these guys were on time, and I was the non-prompt one. So it is all on my shoulders.
Hey, things happen. No worries.
Yep. We're going to hop pretty quick. You know, we had a great time at the Williams this weekend. It was a phenomenal workshop. And a lot of modern Ernie's originals from the East Coast popped up on that, including Ben Hernandez, who used to host Remy at his house for months at a time.
Nice.
And Ernesto in the Philippines, he was on Ernesto in the Philippines, moved to the States to look my brother up in the States. And then he happened to have one of Remy's old sweatshirts. He go, look, Remy outgrew this, so I got to keep it.
Nice. Very cool.
But, yeah, so.
No, it looked good.
I think Frank. Oh, we had a blast. It was. So when I sent that video, you saw that how it was grayed out.
The intro?
No. I'm talking to.
I'm sorry.
I'm talking to Ty there about the video on the Facebook Messenger.
No, I guess I didn't see that.
Okay, so I gotta look at the settings inside my LG.
Okay.
I have an LG V60 I use, and it was great quality, but raw footage seems to be real weird coming out, so I got to look to see what's going on. Our troublemaker's back.
Who's that?
That is Renee.
Hey, Renee.
How's court, Ty? Oh, wow.
See, that's what happens when I come from work.
Yeah. You're all over the place this week, aren't you?
Yeah, I was just telling Dean, Salt Lake City right now, and then I'll go to Colorado Springs, and then I'll head home.
Well, there you go. What are you looking at, dog? So sometimes my dogs will be joining us, so don't be surprised if something furry is over my shoulder. So everyone, when you, first of all, please subscribe to our channel. If you're not, we highly recommend you look on this on YouTube because it's easier to communicate. Sometimes Facebook doesn't allow the comments through, or the comments come through, but we don't know who it's coming from. So if you get a chance, look at it on YouTube. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button. I want to thank our sponsors, the Modern Ace University, as well as Vulpes Blades.
Yes. And
one of our associates, FMA Discussion, and the creator of that is here. We can go two ways on this. I know I want to talk about the show, and we also want to talk about the martial artist. So,
sure.
Let's put the cart in front of the horse. How'd you start FMA Discussion? We'll do that, and then we'll go back to how do you start martial arts.
Yeah. So basically, I have to thank Dwight Woods. So Dwight Woods had me on summer of 2019, and it was really neat because I was really unknown. But Burton had told him, say, look, man, Dean's doing some really good things for the kids in FMA. You should have him on. So I really enjoyed I think I enjoyed more like the role he was playing. And then I kind of looked at the void at the time in FMA. There was really nobody doing what he was doing for JKD. And so I basically got to thinking, but as a respect for him, I went to him and said, look, I really want to do this, but I got the idea from you. I'm being completely honest, and I would like I want to bring it to you, and basically, I have respect for you. I want to get your blessing. And he was totally all for it.
Nice.
Appreciated that I went to him, and so I kicked off. First episode was late October 2019. My first episode was with Tom Sotis. So what I did was just to get acclimated at doing it, because I really had no experience and nothing really to mirror off except for Dwight. And basically, I had ideas where I wanted to go with this. So what I did was the first 4 episodes, I used my teacher. So episode 1 was Tom Sotis. Episode 2 was Bong Avenir. 3 was Tom Sotis again to finish up episode 1, and episode 4 was Burton. So just to kind of get my wheels rolling, my comfortability, get acclimated what I was doing. And at the time, I was using Facebook Live because at that time they still had the guest option before it got removed. So, but yeah, so in the beginning, if you were to like tell me, I was going to have 270 something episodes. I would be interviewed. I would make a difference in the community. I would have probably just laughed because I had no idea. Like my goals at the time were so low. My goals was, okay, can I do this effectively without basically sounding like an idiot? Will people listen to me? And it was slow but sure. I mean, in the beginning, like everything, I mean, the wheels were kind of treading, but I gained some momentum. The momentum I gained was I started the group, because initially when I was doing interviews, I didn't have the group. The moment I started the group in conjunction with the interviews, I definitely saw like a growth, definitely. And then subsequent to that, I started the channel, brought the video there to the channel. So that was basically the start. I saw a void. I wanted to be part of the solution. I wanted to give FMA more exposure, and I wanted to give folks, like if you look at and it's kind of written in the mission statement in FMA Discussion, I wasn't just looking for the most popular guys. Like if you look at through our whole list of interviews, I mean, there's a lot of unknowns, quote unquote unknowns. I hate to use that word, but I can't think of a better word. But I wanted to give people a chance to be heard that normally would not be given a chance. Like for me, for instance. So that really resonated with me when Dwight had me on. So I wanted to give back to people like myself, or maybe are doing things but just never got a platform to be heard. And I wanted to definitely get women, the female representation of FMA. And thus far, we've achieved both goals. Some side dishes came along with it, like generating money for charity. Like all the money that we receive for the channel goes to charity. We keep zero. And we do raffles too. Like we're doing one coming up for the Ukrainian refugees. So, and we do pretty well in the raffles. People really come out, they help. We get donors who donate lessons or books or what have you. And we generate money and we give it all to charity. So, and that feels, pretty good that we're doing that. So it's really selfless, myself, and I'm not just myself now. I mean, I got 5 moderators. So before it was just me. And, but when the group got bigger, it was just like, I think I'm going to need some moderators. I just couldn't keep track of everything or see everything. And, so far it's been it's been absolutely wonderful. There's no, in the beginning, October 2019, I had no idea that we would be here, or this, that it grew to what it has, and to the magnitude and the accolades that we receive as far as what we do. It's been overwhelming, to be quite honest. Overwhelming.
I think it's a great exposure. Do you got any plans for the big 300?
Yeah. Actually, so at 300. So what I do is, that's a great question. At every 100th episode, I kind of reevaluate. So when I got to 100, I'm like, okay, should I keep doing this? Is there people listening? Do people want more? Is the audience growing and all that? And all the answers were yes. So, okay, I'm going to go to 200. I'm going to see how it goes from 100 to 200. So at 200, wow, wheels are really kicking in. Things are going well. I'm going to go to 300. So at 300, I'm going to look at status quo. I'm going to look at like who we interviewed and what is left of the community, how creative we can get. Because one of the things at 200, what I kind of foresaw was we're going to need, I remember having this discussion with the moderators. I go, look, guys, we're going to need to get creative. I go, we're at some point, not that we'll completely exhaust the list, but we're going to get close to that. And yes, we can have people back on. That's always a good thing, especially if they're doing new things. But really, besides the quote unquote, the interview, we're going to have to get creative. So I came up with theme episodes just to keep things going and add. And that's been a real nice bonus. We're going to start covering live events. So at 300, answer your question, I'm going to look at everything. I'm going to look at, do I have enough material for our theme episodes, live events, and people to interview that would carry us to 400? And if the answer is yeah, I will. The one thing I will say at 300, which I've kind of been contemplating, is I would personally not remove myself, but kind of take a little step back and maybe the other moderators do more. And I would be comfortable with that. As well as this has been going, it definitely has, like my other facets of life and all that. And so that's going to be a consideration at episode 300. Yeah.
So a couple guys said hello. So Jason Arnold from London, Ontario said hello. And Craig and Evan Mason from Sudbury, Ontario.
Yeah, I think Craig's coming on, and I got Craig scheduled for May.
Oh, you do? Excellent. Nice. Hopefully it's not during my camp.
So Craig, I'm just checking right now. And Craig Mason, yep, May. So definitely want to get
May.
Kind of got back up there. So
good deal.
But yeah, so yeah, but he definitely would like to get him on.
Yeah. So let's. I'm going to ping pong back and forth. How and when did you start martial arts?
So I started traditional Taekwondo in my teens and continued through my 20s. But it was with college, it was kind of on and off. Like I can't say it was consistent. And then I got back into it full on early 90s. And then that thing called UFC came out in 93 and I saw it and I'm like, wow. I'm like, this is what I want. I want to experience some of this. I want to see some of this. Mm-hmm. And I'm in Connecticut, as you guys know. So the only school that was offering at the time was Ron Kozakowski. And so that kind of, I went down there for MMA, but really what I found was without knowing it, was, of course, the eclectics, Filipino martial arts. I mean, at the time, my first FMA experience, or more, I guess, depending on who you talk to, was really Kung Tao from Ron. It wasn't FMA. So it was, but through Kung Tao, through the knife, I segued into FMA, and it's been kind of history ever since. But that was my first FMA experience, Filipino martial experience, was at Ron's, and that's, gosh, I want to say 1996 or so.
Okay. All right, we got another Canadian up north. Even if fellows who's the dapper looking teacher in Thai spot. I have no clue. He just sort of took over. Hostile takeover.
Well, I did.
People now forever change the dress code to make talk.
The trick is, of course, I'm traveling, so I didn't bring a bunch of change of clothes. So
hey, can you share this? Should I share this to a group or anything, Dr. Tim?
What do you want to share?
I mean, does it matter? I was going to just basically post an FMA discussion, but it's up
Yeah,
to you.
sure. By all means.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to ask you first.
By all means. Oh, come on. All the stuff I share in your thing already.
I guess it's just the
It's common courtesy. I appreciate it.
polite guy in me. Yeah.
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 That makes up for me being the not polite guy.
No, right. You'll probably, hopefully you'll get, you guys will get more subscribers, right? It's all it's about, helping one another. Yeah, so that's it, so, all right, so from Ron's. So what I was at, so 1986, started with Kun Tao. Ron was Anasano Blend at that time, Paul Lunak and Dan and Larry Hartzell. He had not met Gahe at that time. So it was really Anasano Blend that I was exposed to. And so from there, I caught wind of these guys called the Sayak clan. And it was all knife, and it was intriguing enough for me to seek it out. And so I did. And at the time, I really enjoyed it because it was just knife and all that. And that resonated with me. And then from there, they kind of grew up together in Jamaica, Queens, the Atienza brothers. So the early 2000s, I was with Sayak and Atienzas up until mid 2000s. I opened up a school. And it was tough just being a student. Like the school really, really just took a lot of my time. And so I missed being a student. So I sold the school and became a student again. And all the people I became a student now I'm still currently with, which is Tom Sodas, Burton Richardson, Avenir, Bong Avenir. Now probably it's Ilishisumo Ricketts and that Piper thing. So that's, in summation, that's kind of where I started and kind of where I'm present. There's a lot of stuff in between, of course, that has some political stuff and going, like we all kind of unfortunately been through, whether or not we wanted it or not,
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Here we go. Collie Stick says, "Hey, Dean."
Oh, if that I'm not mistaken, that's Gene Bray, I believe.
Okay.
Or
And then
they have
a very
similar...
good friend of ours, and I think you know him very well too, at least through the show, Jack Latour. Hey, guys. Awesome to see the three of you doing this.
Yeah. So
love Jack Latour.
Oh, I didn't get to say thank you. Man, God, shame on me. I want to thank you guys for having me on. I have to give my standard H&H, humbled and honored. But I really do appreciate it.
It just, if he gives us a standard H&H, it feels a little like it's forced.
Yeah, no. But I do want to just seriously, like, genuine gratitude for you guys having me on. I appreciate it.
That's cool.
It's about promoting the community. I mean, we've got different things.
Yeah, and I just want to compliment you both, like, for what you guys are doing. In addition, like, you guys really both, like, not just embrace the community and try to, but like how you guys get people involved in events and invite them and all that. Like, I don't see anybody else really doing that. So it really bothers me when people critique others. And then I look at them, well, wait, are you perpetuating or promoting community? Because if you're not, just keep your mouth closed. So that just really kind of bothers me. And you guys do that. Like, and I think that's just great. Like, I'm going to New Hampshire as a result of you two. Like, that wouldn't have happened before. And so I think what you guys are doing is phenomenal, fantastic. And I just wish good fame and fortune on both of you for what you guys are doing.
Well, we've said it before, right? That, if it's helping FMA, even any part, it helps all of us get what we love. So,
a rising tide raises all ships.
I just wish more of the community with it. And I think there's definitely been an improvement, which I see in FMA discussion, definitely the cross training. Like, let's face it, one good thing came out of COVID. It forced people to kind of cross train. And I think that's a good thing. And I think that's going to continue, because once it started, it's not going to go away just because COVID goes away. So that's going to continue. The Zoom is going to continue, and all that. So I think there's some good things that are happening, and I think it'll continue. and I hope it does.
Well, I'll be the pessimist here, because someone has to be that guy. Well, actually, here's the question. Here we go. Jack says exactly, Dean, and then Rocky says, "Looking good, guys. Ty looks like a gangster, Don Ty." Also on point, Ty. Okay.
Oh my God, Don Tye Botting.
Don Tye Botting. I want to believe. So we've never communicated as much in the past, as much as we did during COVID.
I agree.
But the question is, were we? We're all. None of us were in the same boat. We're all in the same storm.
Mm-hmm.
So the question was, were we bringing the ships together to help each other, or the ships coming together to scuttle the ones that were falling apart? I don't know.
I think it could be both, but I think. But here's the thing, though. What's most important to me, like we could look at the reasonings. Hey, was this coincidental or was this intentful? But I think the byproduct, and I think if the byproduct is more interaction, more cross training, more promotion of FMA, I think that's a good thing. You know what I mean? Whether it was, hey, I'm going to do this because I'm going to spy on them. But hey, if that creates cross traffic, well, so be it. You know what I mean? It's attention's attention. Whether it was malintention in the beginning and it turned to positive, or if it was positive from the get-go straight on, but if it is promoting and perpetuating our community, I just think that's a good thing,
Definitely.
Here's an example, like Paula, for instance, like, covering the KI, like when I did the KI theme, people was like, oh, well, it's going to be divisive. Are you going to give fair representation to the different sanctions and instructors? And I did exactly that. But what's interesting is Paulo got some flack because he was starting to speak on KI and do some things. But what people missed, what they absolutely missed, is that it got more people interested in KI. See what I mean? So I think as long as the end product, you're getting more interest.
I wish people would look at that bigger picture more.
Yes, correct.
I think the problem you run into, and you now we're going to talk about the shows plural, because you get the love mail, you get the hate mail, right?
Oh, it's funny. I wake up nobody realizes it, because I don't like to bring attention to this because I try to be focused and positive, but I wake up every morning to 8 messages on Messenger, and they're not all positive accolades. What he said wasn't this true. You got to,
right.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, so let's talk about this. You can only, okay, so there's been some things I've talked to you and others who do podcasts, and I've talked to FMA, Jesse over at FMA Pulse, and a few things, and I go, hey, so-and-so said this. How did that come about? Because there was definitely some things about modern anise I noticed that are incorrect. And, you don't know about modern anise. You know about the arts that you do.
Right.
And, so when I ask a question, I try to find out stuff. Well, why did this person say they were this? Why did the person say they were that? Why did the person say this event happened when that didn't, and blah, blah, blah? Because part of this, how I got on your show was I reached out to you to see if you had this on a podcast, because I wanted to listen to it while I was on the car. I didn't ask to be on the show.
I remember that now. That's right.
You asked me, not the other way around, just for the record here.
No. But you know what, though? I tell you, just to piggyback off what you just said, that's what happens a lot. Like somebody will message me and it'll be something that clicks a conversation, and I'll be like, hey, you know what? I'm talking to this guy. He's part of the community. Why don't I ask him if he wants to come on? And that's, I can't tell you how many times that's developed into bringing the guest on. And that's exactly what happened in your case.
Yeah. Because, I wasn't going to, if I listen to it in my car on YouTube, I'll look at the screen.
Yeah.
Not a good thing to do when you're driving.
No.
So, so I was hoping that you had a podcast that I could download or listen to and stuff. Boom, and you know, but you know, it's rough because you say something, and now, and your case is different than our case because we're talking about the topic we know. You're interviewing people, and you're trusting that they're being honest with you and truthful with you.
Right. Yeah, and I could speak on that if you'd like me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
So here's the thing. I had a major kind of issue. I shouldn't say major. Me and this person are still very friendly. And one of the messages I alluded to that I wake up in the morning and I receive, well, one of them was he was really just upset about what this person kind of divulged as far as what he perceived as was the truth, and his perception of it was, or facts and details or memory was completely different. And so basically what I had to tell him was, and again, it wasn't getting heated. I said, look, I bring somebody on, I entrust that they're going to give me with the best recollection of history, content, opinion, to the best of their knowledge in a honest fashion. I can't guarantee that they're going to be truthful, they're going to have integrity, they're going to present it the way it happened, or they're going to be self-serving, they have an agenda. I can't control that.
No.
And this is kind of what I explained to him. I said, and he goes, well, you can do better. I said, I do definitely check on backgrounds, all that. However, that doesn't mean that's going to dictate what they're going to say on the show. You know what I mean? It's not, so what do I look for? I've never had anybody walk off the show, knock on wood, I can't even saying this. And I think there's been a couple guests I've had where stuff they said wasn't accurate, but all in all, as a percentage of the 274 episodes we've had, people I feel have been pretty genuine and do the best of their ability to relay what they're talking about accurately or in all that. Again, I think there's only been 2 that kind of missed the mark, so to speak.
Well, let me see here. Welcome to my world. Hate mail is this, that is. Kali Stick says, a podcast, great idea. It's not that hard, but that's a lot of extra.
It's something we considered. We've talked about it, and the thing is, like I'm like the way my time is right now, it's just I definitely have considered it, and I'm not opposed to it. I'm trying to get maybe one of the other guys to kind of take the reins and.
Well, okay. I don't get a kickback by telling you this. StreamYard.
Yep.
When I download the shows,
okay,
they give you an option for a podcast. You can actually just take the raw stuff and have an audio file by itself.
All right, I'm writing this down right now.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah, I tell you, so we're broadcasting this on several platforms, but it gives me an option for the audio video, which we have now,
okay,
that I could download after the show, as well as a separate audio file for podcasts.
And then you just take that over and it creates a podcast for you, it sounds like?
Yeah. You dump it in wherever you're going to go, it wouldn't have the visual stuff, obviously.
Yeah, but for those, like you're saying, are driving,
Yeah. And right now, this is down, as we speak, this is downloading itself to YouTube, to my 2 YouTube channels. So I don't have to.
Yeah, I know. You know what it is with me? And I
Money?
should be doing this. I should be just broadcasting right on YouTube. And this is my own fault. I admit it. I'm just such a creature of habit. But I'm not, I should, in other words, when I run my episodes, they should be going right to YouTube.
Yeah.
I should be doing that.
That would cut time out.
Oh my God.
I know there's a free option to StreamYard, and I do the premium one, which lets me do a higher.
I would pay. I'm paying for Be Live. I would pay for that.
There you go. You know what? When it comes time to renew, I would look at the other platform.
Actually, I do monthly. So technically, starting next month, I could just jump
Okay.
ship.
Well, there you go. Well, check it out because they do have a free service
No, I
with it
appreciate
as well.
that. Yeah, this is not the first. Yeah, you've mentioned it before, and
Hey, listen, don't even think about what I do. Paulo uses it. That should tell you a lot.
no, and Paulo swears by it,
Yeah.
and yeah, I just gotta break that. What I gotta
I
do.
get you. I get you. You know, it's it just that change. It's a habit, and you just go.
I know, and
So,
believe me, it's change can be
so
like.
Rich Parsons says, "Nice tie botting." Oh,
Great.
my tie
Never
botting.
heard,
Oh
never
my
heard
God.
that. But one other data point, Dean, this may be good for your other 274 previous episodes. You can download the audio straight from YouTube, and that way, if you wanted to ever, make a library for audio for those, you'd be able to download them, pop them all in to your.
Yeah. Because that's been like, in other words, when you mentioned like when am I going to do an episode 300, like one of the future things is, am I going to, like, one of the thoughts was, okay, do I make kind of like a booklet, like episode 1 through 100, 101 to 200? That's a thought too. Like at the end, like, okay, like what would be the conclusive piece? You know what I mean? Do I turn over to Tom Pena and I walk out and let him do what he wants with it? Do I turn to a book? All these I don't have answers right now, but they're just thoughts as far as like, do I create a library, or you know what I mean?
Well, you have enough raw material. You could actually just edit all the pieces of all the videos you've done and make everybody say whatever you want them to say.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would. And then all of a sudden vanish from the planet.
There we go.
They're all fighting one another.
So let's get into that about information. I don't fault any interviewer out there because you know what? I know a lot about Filipino martial arts. I've been doing it since '85. I travel a lot. I interact with other people. Martial arts is my hobby, let alone my profession.
Yeah.
There's still stuff out there. There's plenty of things out there that I have no idea about.
Yeah, it goes for all of us.
There's
right? It's so immense.
I mean, you went down to Chad Bailey's event, right? Interviewer out there.
Yeah, that was in Central Florida. I forget the name of the town.
What? Okay, was Orlando Escrima there with you?
What's his first name?
Was Orlando Escrima part of that? Eric
he might have been, and perhaps I don't remember his name upon introduction. I know Andre was there. Andre was there.
There's a whole bunch of little groups down there.
Yeah, Florida.
I've never heard of.
Yeah, here's the thing with Florida, and not to deviate from what we're talking about. I just think they do an incredible job, man. Cross training, like they just do it in Connecticut. It's just so tough, man. To try to I'm going to start doing it. I should say I'm going to attempt to start to try to do it. But Florida, I think, is a really good model for that cross training. They in Canada too.
Do you think that that's because of the proximity to everybody? Well, I wouldn't say Canada. I mean, a lot of it, I think, has to do with Ontario.
Ontario specifically, yeah.
Or the GTA area.
Yeah, I just think I see Florida and I see man, they'll do these camps and they'll invite kind of like what you do. They really emulate like what you do. Both of you guys do that.
Like for me, Buffalo, I'm an island. There's nothing. I mean, there's one other group here, but it's the closest thing to us really is Toronto, and you have the border now. Come the first, you won't need testing anymore, but I think you still need to be vaccinated.
So Florida could do definitely. Maybe the geographics definitely might play a part in it, but I think it goes beyond that. I just got to be honest. I think there's just a willingness for people there to cross train. I think I don't see the egos down there. I think it's a bunch of ingredients and factors that come into play.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. I think you're right.
I do, and I think Chad does a very good job of bringing everybody together like that. I witnessed it firsthand at his camp. I think he does really well. So you definitely need that head person to definitely emulate that and put it into action, and everybody else will somewhat follow. Connecticut, for instance, not to pick on Connecticut, it's just a tough state, man. Like one time, here's an example for you and how this got totally misconstrued. I basically put a post out, hey, looking for training and sparring partners. Now, that got construed by a few that I was putting out challenges. It was just like, wow. So just
Is there an FMA scene in Connecticut?
few and far between. Like, I'm in the northwest corner, so it's just me, really, and that's good and bad. So Ron is central, kind of like Waterbury. Frank is Cromwell, right?
Okay.
I think which he's kind of parallel to me, but just over towards the east. I think you got a few others. So yeah, so it's not big, and the thing. So in other words, it's not big, and there's the reluctance just to work together. Like I created last winter, there was 4 of us. I said, look, man, I'm just going to try this and see where it goes. Please, I'm not going to sit here back and complain. I'm going to actually be proactive and try to be part of the solution.
There you go.
So I got me, Chris Smith, my original JKD teacher. I think it was Nathan, and was there a 4th person? No, I think there was just 3, and then some people, other folks came to watch, and it went pretty well. So I think it can happen and all that, but I think we got work to do before we get to like Florida. But but we're not gonna. Here's the thing: not only geographically, but you have just a lot of styles. I mean, and practice down Florida, and of course, Florida is 4 times the size of Connecticut, so. But you're gonna have some people in Connecticut are not gonna work together. They're not. They're just too aloof, or they're just, and I'm like, so I think we can improve upon status quo, but it'll never get to where it could be like Florida, because you got some people are just gonna be reluctant to do it, sadly,
Okay. So let me see who else said hello while we're here. We have greetings from Guam.
Guam. Wow.
Yep. And then Renee for Dean. Out of the 274 shows, any particular moments that stand out?
Good question, Renee. Yeah, matter of fact, it's a similar question that Jay asked. So yeah, there's a few, definitely. And what I mean by standout, one, there was like a real educational piece to it. Like I actually learned something, or the guy just presented really well and just was captivating. And Michael Belzer, he's a guy, I forget the episodes, but he's a guy that actually went to the Philippines, traveled around with Illustrissimo. Illustrissimo, like it was his guide. It was just fascinating. Like the stories that this guy was telling. And Renee, if you're interested in these numbered episodes, I could definitely give them to you. But that was really, like, I thought that was really interesting. It was really informative. All the Modernese folks, including Datu Tim and all that, wine. I really didn't know. I mean, I knew Modernese, but I really gained knowledge of Modernese through the shows, like through doing the interviews. So as a whole art, Modernese, definitely. Like I learned on that. Darren Friesen, there's another guy, man. Really, really just interesting. He lives currently in South America, originally from Canada. Maya from Sion, she was, I mean, she killed it. I mean, she was really, really good. Mark Wiley, I don't care what people say about him, man, that guy, he's just interesting to listen to. It's just, incredibly knowledgeable. Not just one system either. I mean, obviously the books he wrote. I mean, the guy, you could do 4 episodes with him.
And he's another guy who started in Modernese.
Yeah, which he admits and gave credit to. Matter of fact, he to this day still admits that like his core foundational pieces is from Modernese. So, I mean, that guy, you could do 4 episodes and not cover everything with him. Just really Louis Lindo in Canada. That was really interesting. There's just, so many, Steve Tarani was really, even though I couldn't do the video with him because he could only do audio, but really interesting to listen to. He's similar to, I think, what you do, PG Tye. He's into government work. Yeah. So those were definitely, as far as the interesting and what like learning and and what was presented to me. So those guys, but as a system whole, where I gain knowledge and understanding, modern needs as a whole, definitely that system. That's a system I didn't always knew about, but didn't really know the impact Remy had until I did interviewed people. So that was, as a whole, very informative in that system. Can we segue to Jay's other question, Datu?
Sure.
Okay. Most challenging experiences as being a host.
Well, I think we already covered a little of that.
Yeah.
You can't vet the. You can only do so much to vet people.
Right. You can't 100%. You're not going to be able to 100% vet your guest. If they're going to distort the truth, they're going to do it. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. You have to be neutral and just make sure people know that you're bringing them on here. You can't account for integrity. You can't account for truth. You're going to have to just go with it and hopeful that they're going to be honest. That's just really it. The other challenges, for me, it's like, okay, am I doing this the best? Just for me personally, being the best version of myself. You know what I mean? Like, am I improving in my craft doing this? Am I getting stagnant? So I always check myself, like, how am I doing and all that, and try to be just on top of my game. Also, giving a fair shake to everybody. That's a challenge. Like, well, don't have him. Like, man, you do that, you're gonna drive yourself freaking nuts. Yep. And and like, in other words, the more you try to make people happy, it will be you ultimately who will be unhappy.
Yep.
And I tried that in the beginning, like being naive and new to this. I definitely, in the beginning, I could say I was guilty of listening to too many people. And when I look back now, none of those people are doing anything as a whole for the community. It's so ironic. It's like none.
Well, at the end of the day, too, is you got to give people the opportunity to do it to themselves. I mean, we talk about. Well, we can talk about the martial arts, and Ty and I were talking about an event, and something happened, and they asked, "Well, why didn't you invite Tim to be part of this?" Oh, because Tim would have made it about himself. So you judged Tim,
which is like what? Like,
so you're judging, you're punishing me for something that I didn't do.
It's just crazy. And here's the thing too. Like, here's an interesting thing. This kind of came out of the KI theme episodes, but it does. So a micronism being applied to the macro community. In other words, like, well, I'm not going to go over there and train with that sanction or teacher because, well, one, we're the purest of the form, and he did something to my teacher. And I'm thinking, like, okay, so you will rob yourself of your journey, and you will rob yourself of the best version you can be because of past stuff that you weren't even there for. Like, you weren't even part of it. Like, I get loyalty to a certain extent, but when you let it bleed into like your potential growth and all that, and here's the thing, if it's outside of capital crime, like if there wasn't a killing involved, there wasn't a robbery, I think things could be mended and repaired. It's not that big of a deal when I look at the past. A lot of this stuff squabbles,
Well, I mean, it doubles down too, because guess what? If they're robbing themselves, that means they're also then robbing any students they have and on down the line, right?
Right. And then those students, especially if they're new and naive, they're going to be like, well, I don't have any experience, so I'm going to listen to what he says because this is my experience.
Right.
So I'm going to put all my trust right in here and listen to this man. And I've been guilty that way in the past. And you look back and like, wow, So
well, you trust your sources, and sometimes your sources,
especially if you're new, because what else you have to compare and contrast to?
Right.
Right.
Like, there even people that you may not personally like, that has nothing to do with how good they are at their craft
Yeah.
on top of that, right? So there's like 3 or 4 different levels where this is horrible.
I totally agree. And it, and the thing is, where the crime mostly is really bad, and you touched on it, PG. The students who now you've just narrowed their lens out of selfishness. You weren't selfless, because if you were selfless, you would take their journey as the most important thing, not the system or teacher.
Right.
And you would let them go flourish. And that's what I'm trying to convey indirectly through the channel. Like, the student is the most important part of the journey. And if you're not feeling that or hearing that from your instructor system, my opinion, because I've been held captive in, indentured servitude. I'm not going to obviously say the name and all that, but man, folks, if you're there, man, run. That's just my opinion, So.
Yeah, you got to think of the bigger picture, and everyone thinks about the selfie. And a lot of it boils down to, I think martial arts has taken a lot of people who may have had some self-esteem issues and turned them into the biggest insecure egomaniacs I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you. And I think it's like, let's just say, for instance, like this guy was bullied at school, had just not a great childhood, whatever. And then he gets in martial arts and all these accolades on the wall and certificates and compliments. And do you think he's going to throw that away, man?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I have empathy for that circumstance, because maybe what he went through, but the guys who were just didn't go there, or just telling your students bad stuff, not letting them veer out, like, to me, like, they're toxic, man. They're toxic. I don't even want,
Let's catch up with a couple of our comments here. So Carl Outram from Cambridge, Ontario. He says hello. We'll be doing a seminar for him in the 30th in April. Oh, unfortunately, I'm going to have to miss Ty's event the same weekend. And then Kyoshinru Fed says, hey guys, interesting. Datu, great to see you this past weekend. I think I know exactly who that is. Mm-hmm. And then, Bill from Guam, which Bill, we still got to get you on the show.
He's a name I think we got written down from Guam as well.
Yeah. And then Dan agreed way back to the way the Manji thinks about FMA and for personal conflict.
Yeah, Maya knocked it out of the park. Yeah.
And then, John Savage, hey guys. At least the guys are in the corner. Hello from Salem. And then
trust but verify.
Yeah. And then sorry for being late. No problem, Sam. And then I drank the Kool-Aid in my early years.
Yeah, I think we all did, at one point, right?
Oh,
I guess it depends on how long we drank it and how many flavors. I think it's, you know what I mean?
And then Carl's saying sorry for having me out the same day as your event, Ty. So.
No
and then
worries.
Brian from Erie, who's hopefully he's opening up a professional FMA school through us, so that's gonna be cool.
Ooh, what's
part-time, but still,
What style?
Prices are nice.
Oh, Marnie. Oh, awesome.
Those guys. I was going to touch, if you don't mind, but one thing you said earlier a second ago, Dean, struck me, and that is you were talking about, being the best version of yourself, doing your job, doing your craft well. And I wanted to say 2 things. One, people don't realize how dang hard it is to be a good interviewer, and there's a lot of different levels to that. But I will tell you, the second thing is that I remember seeing some early shows and on some later shows. I enjoyed the early ones, but you've also gotten better. So there's some feedback for you.
I appreciate that. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I can't even look at the early ones. No, that wasn't me.
But I mean, the even still, right? The service you're doing and the subject matter and the stories you're getting out, the people that wouldn't be necessarily doing that, because a lot of these people are not self-promoters, and you're helping get their word out for everybody, not just them. So kudos to you. But I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the interviewing side of things, if you didn't mind.
I'm sorry, talk about what?
The interviewing side of things, what you do to make sure that you draw out all the cool stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So what I do is it can alter depending on the system and who I'm having on. Like, for instance, if it's a system I'm very familiar with, I'll kind of zone in on the system and the person representing that and how they propagate the system to their students and all that. So I'll come deeply more in the mythology, so to speak. If it's somebody I'm not familiar with and I want to bring exposure to them to the community, I'm really good at I'm really going to go like A to Z. Like, so I'm not going to really dial in anything particular. I really want the folks to see what they're about, what they're doing, and all that, to give them, they prompt them up in the community, make them more known, get more exposure, and that. So that from a generalization, so to speak, on the theme episodes, which I'm really starting to enjoy, and that's really what I want to kind of go in and have the guys maybe do the others, is I really feel like I really can dial in. Like, and it's nothing, I don't mind interviewing people, so I don't want to come across that way. It's just that I feel my best is doing the theme episodes. Like, I could really dial in on a subject matter, really get people that are top notch to talk about, like the school episodes that we just did with Ace and Datu. I mean, that was incredible information for people who want to do a school. It was like free information.
Yep.
And so that's what I really like, in that. And how I prepare for those is, one, I try to think about, what does the community want to hear? What do they want to know? What is going to benefit them about this subject matter? And KI, for instance, the theme episodes in KI, I wanted them, upon conclusion of watching all the episodes, that they would get a better understanding of KI. They would know the sanctions, the teachers, the standouts, as well as an overall understanding of the system and what it's about, what is the stressors and what have you, and ultimately cultivate interest. On a theme where, like, for instance, Dr. Tim and Ace, I wanted from, okay, how we're going to benefit the folks that really are going to do this and perhaps want to build a school or upgrade. So I kind of tailored around that, obviously with definitely suggestions for them. So with the theme episodes, sometimes I really will tap into the guest more so than I do if I just have somebody bringing on and we're hearing about their FMA journey and what they're doing. I make the guests more inclusive on the theme episodes for sure. I hope that helps.
No, that's interesting. Yeah. All I know is I like them all. And yeah, the theme ones, I can tell there's a lot of good energy there. So that makes sense that you enjoy them.
Yeah. It's just, it's so funny. I'm so glad I did it because, one, to keep things going and to kind of change the flavor dynamic, bring more interest in. And I think some of these themes really speak to the community, depending on where you're aligned, what you like, and all that. And there's some great ones coming up. Like, I'm getting some of the ones are coming up. I just started PTK. That's going to be interesting. We'll see where that goes. I'm just going to be honest, man. We'll see where that goes, because that can go a whole bunch of directions, but we'll see. Female sparring. I'm going to get some females on and how they go about sparring, how far they bring it, what's their comfort level. I thought that'd be interesting for females to hear. Some more in self-defense. What else? I got it right here. We're going to be doing, I like to do a minor niece theme episode. That's the next one I like to tackle. Like, just get different guys from the different, see if it'll prove status quo, bring more exposure to minor niece, of course.
You mean having multiple people on at the same time?
It could be definitely 2 at the same time, or 3, and definitely some multiple episodes. I mean,
wow.
I would like to do that.
Wow.
I'm going for punishment.
But it would be interesting regardless. And I think,
Hey,
well, it depends on who you're asking. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, so when it comes to our show, and I want to talk about this real quick, we've asked most people on the show. There's some people that I have no interest in because there's personal stuff.
Yeah.
they've insulted Janice, and that's no. There's certain lines you cross over.
Right. Why do you
I don't care if they call what they call me. I don't give a damn. Call me a piece of shit, whatever.
Family. That's just so unnecessary.
And making light of things when you shouldn't, But we've made a point that so in case someone says, well, how come you don't have these people on the show? We have invited a whole bunch of people on the show. If you haven't seen them on the show and they're a quote unquote name, a leader or influencer, it's probably because they chose not to be part of the show.
I've had a few that have been reluctant. Matter of fact, a few in KI, because I know why. I don't say it publicly, but I know why they didn't come on. It's a shame, because you should have a platform to speak. That's why FMA Discussion was created, to give folks a platform to share their experiences and what they are doing. And you shouldn't be denied that because of what a group might think or what a group might say. Like, to me, that's just sad. But there's some who are reluctant that didn't come on as a result of that. And there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you can present the best invite known to mankind, but
and let's go this, maybe people don't want a confrontation. So let's say someone was very I've actually talked to so Bruce has said this on the show a couple of times. I talked to Chris Chu about this personally. We had a really good conversation about it. But on multiple times, Bruce has made the comment that there wasn't a written curriculum. He's right and he's wrong.
Okay.
There was not a belted curriculum that the organization followed all the way up the thing. But if you took the test at camp, it was a written test. They would score it, and then you'd get a copy of it later. And if you wanted to do your work, you would take the material from said test and breaking it into levels to figure out how you can get yourself or your students to that next level. So
hence written.
Yeah. So, but if his intent was to say that we just didn't have a unified belting curriculum, he's 100% correct. Yeah. But if he was to say that there was never any written curriculum, that he's 100% incorrect, because there was something, you just had to do your work. Now, maybe on a show, if there's a topic like that, which I said, Chris and I, we put that thing to rest. There was nothing to put to rest. We talked about it. Chris is a good kid. I like him a lot.
Yeah, Bruce is, I'm a fan of Uncle Bruce, man. Like, he really, said.
Yeah, I've always liked Bruce. We
nice things.
We've only seen
I like both of them. But
once since Remy died.
When we do the Modern Niece thing, we'll get you guys on.
Yeah, there shouldn't be a problem. Let's say there was a topic like that, using that as an example that people just didn't want. No, I don't want to argue about this. It's like, well, there could be some sticking points. Like we.
Well, here's what I do though. Yeah. Okay, here's what I learned, and this is when I did the KI theme. There was extreme work and effort who to pair who with. I'm going to tell you, some of the background work I had to do exceeded the time of one of the episodes. Okay, this wasn't just like I looked at a list. Okay, okay, he's good. All right, no, hardly. And I formed a group chat, and basically what I said was, look, guys. If you guys truly want KI to flourish, you want KI to be more exposed, we're going to have to work together this, okay? And it turned out wonderful. I feel bad for the people that didn't feel comfortable to come on, but I couldn't, but you know what? There's nothing else I could do. You know what I mean? It's not like I left, so there's ways to go about it. So for the example you just gave Datu in the group chat, I'm going to be like, guys, please look at the greater goal here.
Yeah.
And what Remy would want, please try to keep that as a focal and not individual. I don't want to rehash past stuff. I want us to collectively work together for this theme episode. And you're going to know who's on board and who's not.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Oh, no, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And, Datu, I think there's a question here, Datu.
Okay.
Do you pre-research before the interview so you have a bag of questions, or just wing it? I never just wing it, John. I'm not that good.
Yeah, like tonight where we're just winging it.
Yeah, right. I definitely put I put a lot of time into it for a couple of reasons. One, again, being the best version of me, and two, I want the guests to have like a good experience. Like I don't want them to feel like I came on and I just woke out of bed, didn't have time to prepare for this, and I'm just winging. Like I wouldn't feel really good about that. One for myself, myself perception, how I perceive the community I represent, and for the guest who's coming on. I would want them to really enjoy the experience and not leave disgruntled because I didn't prepare.
So, do you know Harry Green?
That I do not.
He's a person you should talk to.
Harry, I'm writing it down right now.
GM Harry Green. He's out in the Sacramento, San Francisco Bay Area. I don't know exactly where. We always meet up at the gathering that Bruce Jutnick holds. Literally called The Gathering. It's going to be in Reno this year. And he's another guy. So Harry, reach out to our main man Dean here today, because I think he give you a different perspective. Filipino with a military blend of things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we were always looking for people. I mean, he could be a theme if he's got some military. I mean, that's one of the things I want to do: military / FMA and the back and fusion thereof. So
yeah. Now, for like when it comes to this show, we do have so we winged it at the beginning, and we had an episode with Frank Schakowsky. And
was that like one of the first ones, or
it was one of the earlier ones? And he thought he was being interrogated, which actually isn't that what an interview is? It's a friendly interrogation. You know the difference between an interview and an interrogation? Jail time. But
when you can leave and get out of your chair and go. And
so I'll ask this question in a minute here. So, but Frank felt very uncomfortable thinking that I was trying to trip him up or something, which the thing here is I ask direct questions because a lot of times there's misperceptions on things. So I've come up with a whole bunch of labels. Like when we talked about the show, when we did the school show, I was very specific to talk about how I felt about what a professional school was.
Yep.
And even then we kind of went back and forth. Ace and I didn't agree with everything. Actually, I think we were more in sync than he thought I was. We were talking about, I had a spot that was 3,000 square foot in somebody else's facility. It's like, yeah, if you got that, that would be a full-time school if you had full access all the time and you didn't have to do something else. But when, because what's the difference between subletting from a gym that has 20,000 square foot that you have your own entrance and all that than renting from a mall or a plaza? So I think there's a lot of things like that, but I was very specific to say what I want, how I label things, because people were getting confused with full-time program, as in this is all I teach, with a business, which are two completely different things. And when I asked Frank, I'm trying to get, we talk about black belts, we've coined the phrase RPC, Remy Praces Certified. So in Modern Arnis, while Remy was alive, no one was really able to promote the black belt on their own. Professor may have told someone, if you say they passed the test, I'm okay with that. But generally, I know, Rocky makes a comment about this. He was given permission to do a test for someone in Buffalo who's no longer with us. And I've known some other people that were like, tests were done afterwards, and whatever that person said was law. But the thing was, the promotion still came from Remy. No one had that authorization to just promote people randomly to black belt. So we always talk about what an RPC was. Remy Praces Certified was my student that I nominated for black belt, and Remy endorsed that. That they tested for Remy and they got endorsed. And so we were trying to talk about how many people, how many black belts did you produce and whatever. And some of the guys I've talked to, they didn't produce any black belts until after Remy passed away. The shame was that we had 4th and 5th degree black belts out there who never produced a black belt. And how does an art go forward if the quote unquote leaders aren't producing students?
Yeah, there's a theme episode right there as far as, yeah.
Well, actually, next week's show might be. We were talking about this since we didn't have it. Is we're trying to get Bruce or Chris Chu involved with this, but his scheduling with work, he's up at like 3 or 4 in the morning to go to work, and it's just too rough on him. We're actually talking about he had a project, and we were talking about it ourselves. What it takes to be a GM, a Grandmaster.
Oh,
I've always had a criteria, and actually, Rich Parsons, who chimed in before, asked me once, and I thought he was talking about me. Like, well, why are you going around with the Grandmaster title, Tim? And I'm like, well, whatever. But these are the kind of things we looked at, and during the interview, I asked these specific questions to get these answers, and we learned from that. It was like it didn't meant to be an interrogation. It was perceived that way, but he was very prepared for your show. So I figured he would have been the same, but I realized that I was going to ask questions that people weren't prepared for. Not that was a rough question, just they probably were never asked these questions. So after that point, Ty and I put a list together, and we actually send a list to the Modern Arnis people. The hell with you. We're just going to go all over the place.
Well, here, you touched here. So here's kind of what I do. Matter of fact, Kara asked a really good question on the test runs. Hold on, I'm just putting this. So Kara's question is.
Okay, let me pull that up.
Okay.
Boom.
Right. Okay, this is a great question. Thank you, Kara. Okay, so a couple of reasons why I do the test run. Okay, when I started doing it, I always do test runs. However, I didn't post them or I didn't do them live. And first and foremost, just to see connection. Can they get on the platform, audio, video, first and foremost? But I would do them privately. But then I got to thinking, I'm like, hey, maybe I should start doing the test runs live, generate interest for the next day. And more importantly, I was doing them live. If it was somebody that I don't know as well, or to click into their personality. So I'll do the test run, and I'll just ask them generic questions, like about where they live or what the weather's like, and I can immediately click into them. Are they a talker? Do they keep their answers short and brief? Do they expand on their answers? And that helps me to generate a questionnaire. Like, okay, I'm going to have to ask more questions because he keeps his answers short and compact. I'm going to need a little more to go to the hour and a half. Okay, well, this guy talks, man. I'm going to really condense my questions down because he's going to elaborate on them. So, Kara, first and foremost, can they get on the platform? And secondly, draw interest. Third, how can I click in? Am I able to click into this guy's persona? And more info to then to talk about the next day. Okay. I'm not sure the last part. You guys, let me see. More info to talk about the next day. Sometimes, I can maybe there's things I find out that I didn't find out online about them. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's true. I definitely get maybe some more topics and questions and all that. And plus, folks get to see the person that they're going to be seeing the next day. So I think it's been a good thing for me to run them live. Mm-hmm. And it's a practice, we continue to do.
I think it's great that you do that for PR. We don't have time to do that.
It's definitely time consuming because you have to work in somebody's schedule and they can only do like 12 noon. And so it's definitely.
Let's catch up a couple comments here. So we get behind real quick here. So Rocky said the biggest thing I have learned that time heals all. Modernist is a very rocky, no pun intended. Sure it was rocky. Background in the early days, many people were pitted against each other. But now I see more and more people coming together.
Definitely time for a theme episode on Modern Niece.
Yeah, there you go. After all, it all ends. It's all the same, Then we got Mr. Harry Green. Hello, Dean. I'm in Sacramento. I'm on Facebook as GM Harry Green.
Okay.
And then Brian, hey. It's
test connection, right generators.
Yep. And then John, well, you did pretty good. So kudos to you.
Thank you, John. We try.
Nice
talking to you.
Nice tie. Yeah.
See, I am nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you,
and Ty cleans up well. Yeah, there we go. I didn't think we were going to have the dress code other than wear a shirt.
Tye, from this day forward, Tye is changing the gamut. You're
The
going to have to step up
face.
your game.
He has just changed the face of everything we do.
Except this will be the only. This will be the only time
to
though.
rush home. You're going to have to rush home and throw the tie on.
There you go. Well, this will be the only time. Although usually I have a bow tie.
So he says. Oh yeah, I do know he has a bow tie. That's the thing that it was the regular tie that threw me because I'm used to the non-regular tie.
Yep.
A tie. That's funny because I do a lot of voice to text when I talk to him because of my dyslexia, and I'll either get TY or THAI. So it's either he's Muay Thai or it's thank you.
Yep.
So we're getting closer to that end point, and I'm not rushing anyone because we've been known to be up all night doing this shit. So let's go with a martial because we keep going back. I don't want to ignore the martial artist. I mean, of course, we could always bring you on another time and talk about the martial artist. But because we've actually decided to start getting more diverse with our question or our people we feature, and it's actually I look for the modern East world and our friends. I'm not against having people on I don't know.
Yeah.
But I want to talk from a point. I mean, I've seen how you get roasted for not knowing something. And like, who the hell would know all this stuff? I mean,
Yeah, and here's the thing: you got to kind of be thick-skinned, and I don't mind somebody giving me constructive criticism. I really don't. If it makes me better, I'm all for it. But
or if someone comes to you and says, "Hey, this person was a liar. Here are the facts. Thanks for giving me that information."
After the episode, though, that happens. You know what I mean?
Well, but at least if they critique you for that, that's bad on them for not saying anything. But if they give the information and go, "Hey, listen, I know it's too late, but here's the skinny."
Yeah, that's happened a lot actually. Like I'll get stuff like that. Hey, by the way, and they do it politely, respectfully, and I'm fine with that. Like I have no issue if it's done correctly.
Right.
But knock on wood, I can honestly say, like when I look at the comments for all the interviews I've done, people have been actually pretty good. Like it could be so much worse. I mean, they're actually pretty good. Like I've never had to remove somebody from the comment section, knock on wood. So really everybody's been, so this is not like the group. Now, if we're talking about the group, well, but even despite even the group, we've really managed really well. People come in there, express themselves without being attacked because we don't tolerate it. It's zero tolerance. We got close to 9,000 people in there. And what the people have said is that, hey, I really enjoy what you guys do. You guys really moderate here. You don't let people attack one another because we just, again, zero tolerance. And what I bring this up for is that if people know that, well, why would I be different when I'm doing an interview? Why would I allow you to act like that if I don't allow you to act like that in the group? So I think there's a carryover,
Well, you're being you.
Yeah, you got to be true to you, and you got to be consistent, and you got to be true to who you are.
So I'm gonna do this because you and I kind of quasi talked about this. There's updated sheriffs in town.
Updated sheriffs
in your town, in your little thing, because your deputies, you update them if they're not doing the job right?
Yeah, I mean, right? Yeah.
Well, we talked about a friend of ours. A blade friend of ours that I had talked to, and I really wanted to get him. I wanted you and him to connect, and we did it when we were at the triple threat, the triple threat thing at Frank's, and he had a poor interaction with one of your ex mods. And after I talked to him about it, he was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." I go, "Yeah, listen, that's not." And listen, and someone who's okay. So I ran FMA Talk, the discussion group. I mean that, and Martial Talk. So that the Martial Talk, the discussion group, was one of the largest martial art discussion groups in the world. FMA Talk, for a bulletin style, it was probably the number one FMA exclusive. Matter of fact, when FMA Pulse came on, they used to actually take our stuff and just have a feed go to their page so they, for some extra content. It was the place. There's a lot of stuff going on, and when you have moderators, you can't control how they react to things. And that doesn't talk
Yeah.
about what and you might sit there and say, hey, listen, I saw what you're saying. You're right. That person's got to go, or change their role and everything. And if anyone has any bad interactions, the question I'm asking you is that with Dean? And if the answer is no, then maybe you should talk to Dean. Now, if you don't like Dean, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about that.
No. Here's some things that go on, and it's like, in other words, so we have, obviously with me, I have the group, and I have the podcast. So with the group, it's a totally different dynamic.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, 9,000 people, different personalities, and all that. So with the group, what's kind of frustrating is that people will be unhappy, but they'll go to one of the other moderators and they won't come to me.
Yeah.
And I might not catch wind of it until later. And that's frustrating because I'm pretty good at fixing things if I know about them. If I know about them, I can get my hands in there. I got a pretty good track record for correcting things and getting things back on track. So when I don't hear about them, it's kind of noise in the background and I get caught of it. Like, that's really frustrating. And that kind of happened with one of our previous guys and a few other things. And and it was frustrating, and it can be. And so when you choose moderators, you got to really make sure they're on the same page. And that's the learning curve. Like, like, it's really easy to pick like who you like, or who you're friends with, or who your buddies. Doesn't mean they're the best person to moderate. You guys, so it can be tough. Yeah.
Well, here's what I'm also going to say. The podcast, the vlogging is, I look at it, they're not the same. They're two different entities.
Oh, they're totally different entities.
So if you don't like what's going on, in the discussion group, then don't be part of the discussion group. But it's like this. Okay. Modern Arnis. Renee talked about this. He goes, I've had all this great support from Modern Arnis. I'm like, okay. We look at it two ways. It's the good and the bad. It goes, is it Modern Arnis or is it Tim and his guys? Oh, it's Tim and his guys. I go, because there's multiple Modern Arnis groups up in Toronto that are not affiliated with us, that aren't supporting your event. So don't give them credit for something they did. That being said, let's flip it around. Tim Hartman is a total jerk. Modern Arnis people must suck if they have people like Tim in their group. No. That's Tim and his group. That's a subculture. We all know them. We know that martial art organizations, you might have some guys like, how could they be a good group with these people associated with them? Mm-hmm. And you don't know how said people act around the master or the grand master. So there's a lot of different dynamics when it comes to stuff of that nature. And I would make sure that if people are gonna say or do something, make sure you're not putting stuff on from one thing or another, or something. Like I said, to me, the discussion, your Facebook page has nothing to do with you, or this show that you do, because they're two completely different animals.
No, they're definitely two. So what I try to do, knowing that they're two different entities, I just try to be consistent. Ooh, what happened?
Oops, I don't know.
A glitch? I'm sure I'll be back, right?
Could be, or maybe he got I don't know. It's taken away by
it's
something.
My subtle washroom break.
Okay. This is where we talk about him or anything like that. Any jabs you want to take at him? No.
But I'm always in earshot.
There. That's why. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So what I was just saying was definitely two entities, but what I try to do, so there's some consistency how I'm viewed by the community, the way I act in a group has to be consistent the way I do interviews. Like, I can't have like, well, you know what I mean? Like, to me, well, one, I just couldn't do it. Right. Two, I think it would just be, I don't think it'd be well received if they saw two different deans. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I think you nailed it though. You got to be yourself, and then it takes care of itself. If you're a responsible, caring person, then that will cover both of those.
Yeah.
Particularly when you tell them what the expectations are.
Yeah.
I ran, as you know, a lot of different things, email discussions group, online forums, and I had my own Facebook group forever.
It's and the thing with the group is sometimes, like, the group will go through phases. Like right now, it's actually been like really good. Like I can't remember last time we've had to remove somebody. like remove comments or send somebody a message. Like it's been great. And here's the thing. When people see that you have zero tolerance or this is what I expected, how you're supposed to act or handle yourself in here, and you really set the tone, people are going to follow that. If you're wishy-washy and you don't follow through or you don't monitor, you don't check out threads and comments, like you're going to be putting out fires. And in the beginning, so in the beginning, when I got to 3,000 members, I noticed like this, I was spiraling, and that I just it was 3,000. I was by myself doing the podcast, running this group. I was just like, man, I'm not seeing everything. I'm not on top of everything. It wasn't a really comfortable feeling. Hence, I started getting moderators. We got it back on track. And at that point, I was like, no more wishy-washy. This is it. Like, if you call somebody a name, profanity, you're out. You know what I mean? And it cleaned up. I mean, like, and right now, we're pretty much on autopilot for 9,000 members. We're not putting out fires anymore because people know, like, this is not the place to come and act like that, you know?
Yeah, well, when you're consistent and you set the tone pretty regularly, then you don't have to do that. I mean, when I ran the mailing list, when I run the Arnis Exploration, I'm the only guy doing it, but I don't have to touch it hardly at all because it was, you know,
everyone knows the score.
Exactly.
Right. You got to be, and that's the thing, like, you got to be, because if you don't, you will be putting out fires, man. I mean, I'm telling you, it will become a job. You will be going in there, you will be removing things, sending messages. It's very, very time consuming.
And you can't be drawn in, right? So as soon as you get drawn into the same thing that's a fire, you've lost everything.
I'm telling you. And you know what happens? You get discouraged, you get frustrated, you're negative. It's just because you're dealing with crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's nothing positive. And so I got like really sick of that really quick, you know. And,
so Eric gives us kudos, all three of us, as interviewers. Renee said, I just want to thank Tim for not. I had a bleeding thing last week. Oh, you got something going on there too, Ty.
Yeah, right before our meeting today, I scraped my head, so I had to put a Band-Aid there.
Oh my gosh.
And yes, you're right. It was you and your guys. Lots of schools here won't come out to the event because we are pals. To which I say, suck my whatever that is. I don't think the people don't come out because we're pals. They come out because Dog Brother-esque events are kind of intimidating by some people, and I'm all down with that. It's not what I do, but I'm all down with that. And then Glenn from Maui says hello. Enjoying this good content. Salamat po from Maui, Hawaii. And Dan Lohman from Florida.
Nice. Mr. Dan.
Yeah, I met Dan at Chad's, actually, yeah.
I like Dan a lot. Have you had him on the show? I can't remember.
Dan, I had Dan when I was down there. I did an episode live with everybody, and Dan was part of that group.
Okay. Well,
Dan never wanted to come on by himself. Dan,
I would recommend him, and he didn't pay me even.
Yeah.
Wow. So there wasn't even a backdoor, no shenanigans back. Wow. Okay. Yeah, if Dan wants to come on, he's more than welcome. Here's the thing: we're an open, like, we've never said no. I mean, so yeah, I mean. Oh, here's a good guy from hey, my brother. Yeah, good guy. Yeah.
And then Michael Miller from Colorado and Bellinger. Then Dan Lohman. I'll PayPal you later.
There you go. Well, I'm glad Michael found his way on. He was just asking how to watch the show, and I'm like, I can't check because I'm online.
Yeah, go to YouTube. So. All right, we won't talk about you as the martial art. I think we need to have another episode down the road.
If you want to do another episode, I can talk about.
We got a lot of good stuff.
Definitely, definitely.
Like my teachers.
Is there something that you wanted to discuss before we wrap things up? Like, is there something as a host, or is there a plea for more help, or as far as staff or getting certain more instructors on board? We know episode 300 is coming up. Like what, is there something like that you want to talk about? Or
yeah, the only message I would like, as far as the community is concerned, is that we all have our bias, like who we're affiliated, our teachers, and all that. But one thing I'm really the reason why I'm doing these theme episodes is that while you may be in a certain lane, you may gravitate towards a teacher or a system or a sanction, whatever. Like you really try and really just, like, for instance, in the KI theme, because that's the most recent example I could base this off, is like, again, the student, like, just, it's going to behoove you to explore and all that. And not only that, like, wouldn't it be great if the sanctions under an umbrella system can work together? Doesn't that make the system better, more flourishes more exposure? And that's what I'm doing with PTK. So that's kind of like my theme going forward. And I'm going to do my underneath is like, try to bring fraction sanctions that maybe I attempt to, because the only thing I can do is try. You know what I mean? Like, I hate guys that complain, but they don't do anything about it.
Right.
Well, did you do anything about it? Did you talk to them? Did you try to get them together? To me, then you really shouldn't be complaining. So overall, for an overall theme to the community, like, just, we got more in common than we do differences. I understand you might have allegiance, loyalty, and there's nothing wrong with that. You could still have that while still propagating unity. So in essence, that would be my closing statement. But yeah, I would love next one to just talk about my teachers and the styles I do. That would be interesting.
I don't have what I want in this computer. So when I share this, any PTK guys realize there's more graphics on there, and this actually isn't 100% accurate.
Why'd you leave those guys off and those guys and those guys?
I'm hosting the PTK's Next Generation.
Yeah, right. That's right.
That's in September, and I've got Jack Latour on there. This is Tuhan Arlene. There's an open invite to her. Unfortunately, she is doing some work that might keep her off the grid for a while. Kind of similar in what Tye, but different. I've got Belton Lubis coming.
Wow.
And Chris Mendigma.
Oh, I really like him.
I like him a lot. Yeah.
So him. Good guy.
So talking about bringing things together, and I'm hosting it on my place, which is
those guys all get
around.
Yeah, you're gonna have Jack.
I got good guys.
They got
a good rapport with all three of them. Yeah. It actually just started because I was hanging out with Chris Mendigma up in Canada. I'm like, who would like you? My friend Jack would like you. We should do something. I should get the two of you to do something together.
There was an interview.
So hopefully all four will be there. But and Arlene knows there's an open invitation in case her schedule frees up. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to fill the spot, but we'll go from there. But yeah, okay. So right now, let me see here. Dan's talking about you might be coming up with Shelley to my event.
Dan, if you're talking about what thing in May?
Oh, that's the Modern Age 65th anniversary camp.
Okay. Because Dan, if Shelley does come on the show and you want to come on with, then that's an option too. We're still trying to get Shelley out.
Yeah. And I go, we'll reach out about being on the show when I get back from the Philippines. We'll be there throughout the summer. Let me see what else got here. Fortunately, while money is involved,
that's unfortunately true.
We are family. And Dan Loman said yes. And then, but let's talk about, so since you asked what that is, and man, it's like, here we go. Shameless plug. Here we go.
Okay.
So that's what Dan was talking about.
Awesome.
So it's this year is the 65th anniversary of the creation of Modern Arnis.
Wow.
So I decided, last year we did the memorial camp. It was the 20th anniversary of Professor's passing. Unfortunately, with a lot of issues going on with COVID, at the last minute, well, not last minute, but a few months out before travel plans were finalized, I released several of the instructors. Because finally, I told it was Abon, Dieter Knuddel, and Brian Zawolinsky. Mike and May Williams were already planning on coming up and hanging out in the falls.
Yeah, those are nice people.
Yeah, and so they're going to make it a family, their Marshall family trip. But with all the restrictions of Canada or with COVID, I lost at least a third of my clientele. And I have here's the thing for those who don't host events, the host has a financial responsibility to everybody. And I make these hard decisions. Like I've actually had people say, like I'll ask somebody, go, hey, what does someone bring to the table? So it's like, well, listen, we have at a Modern East event, there was a whole bunch of Modern East people there. And I go, well, does this guy bring anything to the table that's not already covered? Yes, we love the kumbaya moments, but at the end of the day, is this person going to bring something to the table material-wise what we don't have, or does he or she have a whole bunch of students that are going to help pay for the event? Otherwise, the person's a financial drain. I mean, and the seminar host is really the manager of the event. And if I had deep pockets, I wouldn't care. I would just spend money left and right.
Yeah. If you had deep pockets.
Yeah. So maybe, and listen, if anyone thinks that should happen, well, then let's get a fundraiser and I will pay for everybody to come and make sure there's money in their pocket and get everyone to show up.
That's a lot.
Yes. And that's what I said. Yes. Shelly. Yeah. Well, that's why I ran the ad. And now you can PayPal me, LOL, because he did the plug there for Shelly. So, all right. You mentioned a couple. Okay, so we talked about favorite moment. What's your least favorite moment? Which doesn't mean it's a bad moment. It's
here's the thing. I take the least favorite moments, I turn them into learning experiences. What not to do or what to avoid, or how, if I come across this again, this happens, how can I improve upon that experience? So least favored is knowing you have somebody on that was in conflict with one of your instructors, because then you're borderlining. Am I being loyal to my instructor now? But I'm bringing this guy on when there was a difference in the past. That's been difficult for me. It's not pleasant. So, you got to look at that obviously from the totality of reasons and circumstances, and how bad the situation was, status quo. Who would your instructor be completely offended? So those are definitely some of the more unpleasant aspects. Ones that I do an episode and I'll get some messages again like, hey, that wasn't true, this, that, and the other thing, even though they might be very eloquently and respectfully presented to you through the message. It's stuff that you have to wake up in the morning and just be like, great, just how I want to start my day.
Right.
So Morgan Garrett said, if you say me, ... As
the hill plus one.
Dean, if you say no, definitely.
And sometimes you just got to play the political game.
Yeah. And it's not easy. And and the thing is, and this is what frustrates me too, is people they never done what you do. They never ran a group. They never interview people, but they have an opinion on how you should do things. And so I try not to be rude, or I try to really just be calm. They don't understand. They're not doing this, but it is frustrating. You don't understand the different seats I got to juggle. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's not, you know, but again, the accolades have been incredibly positive when I'm doing. They definitely outweigh the minor stuff I have to deal with that are negative. You know,
Well, and remember one thing. Remember, for every positive, every negative you get, they're more likely to say the negative things. The positive people don't speak up as much, so you got to weight those even more. So yeah, you're
yeah,
really in the
yeah,
positive side.
yeah, and you know, so another thing, most people are very happy what we do. You
Hmm.
know, I mean,
Yep.
especially people that never got a chance, like some of the best comments or comments you receive, like, hey, you know, I thank you for having me on. I never been on a show before. Nobody ever gave me an opportunity to be heard. Those are, I mean,
Yep.
those are like the best compliments you can get. Or hey, I listened to that and I learned something. You know, so anything along those lines are really really nice to hear. You know, but yeah, the thing with the negative, it's we all try to we all say this. You can't let that bother you, or you can't let that outshine what you're doing. But some days, man, it just does. We're
You get,
human. You know what I mean? You
yep.
wake up and this is what you're dealing with, and it's
Yep.
just like, yeah,
Yeah, we can talk.
you know what I mean?
Does
It's
it
like,
gets
yeah,
tiring?
it's not as easy
Yeah.
to just put it over there and compartmentalize it and not deal with it. I mean, come on.
Okay.
Depending.
So, what's your favorite thing? Not it doesn't necessarily have to be a show. I kind of got something in the back of my head. I think whether it's your favorite thing, I think maybe it should be something you should be proud of. But what do you think you're about doing the show? What is your favorite thing about doing the show?
Giving people a chance to be heard that normally wouldn't, and just letting them have their day. You know what I mean? Like just letting them like talk about themselves and share to the community what they're doing and what they're about and what resonates with them. Just and let them the ability to speak freely on something they're passionate about. And that yeah. So to me, that's what I get gratification on. The other gratifying piece is hearing people from the group. I want to thank you for the group you created. I don't see anybody attacking one another here. I've experienced bad groups before, bad, experiences. So those two things off the top of my head, I would say are probably what puts a smile on my face.
Well, I would say, like my compliment to you is personally, I think you nailed it. You're right. You are giving people a voice that normally wouldn't, and you're doing charity work while doing it.
Yes.
The charity piece, right? We're giving all that. We do give all. Yeah, folks are watching. If you're not aware, all the money received from the channel, we give to charity. Generally speaking, kid oriented. There's a couple that we've given to frequently in the Philippines, and that's World Hunger Organization. And then there's another organization that deals with orphans, and they've been very thankful for what we do. And when we run the the raffles, we always take that money too. Matter of fact, we got a raffle coming up for the Ukrainian refugees, and so we're going to be. I think it's going to kick off April 1st. It'll be $10 a ticket, I believe. We already got wonderful donations from a few people. I mean, just already, and we haven't really fully announced it yet. And it's going to end May 15th, which will run the live raffle at FMA Discussion like we usually do. And all that money goes to the charity of choice. So yeah, that does really feel good too. Yeah, that's a third piece. Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap things up. Everyone, listen. Go subscribe to FMA Discussion. Watch it on YouTube. Do not watch it on Facebook. Go to YouTube. We need all the views to keep current, to stay monetized, so the money that's coming from the viewership can be donated. I mean, that's a very important thing.
I would even add to that, if you don't mind. So one of the ways that people forget to really get the word out is actually sharing and commenting. So when you comment on a video, then he responds and it gets more exposure. You share it as opposed to just click on it.
Yeah.
It gets more exposure, and all of your people and their people and their people, it propagates. So if you want to do the right thing and help a channel out, just be a little bit proactive and it'll help tons.
All you got to do is say, nice show. That's all it takes.
I know.
Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and, listen, and if you want to help out, here's another one. Let's say you don't have the time. If your computer's running, hit play and walk away.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Exactly. You have to sit there. Like, I couldn't listen to myself for 2 hours.
I don't know. I don't know how we went this last hour and a half with you, but what the hell?
I know. How'd you guys do it?
Booze.
Yeah.
So, let me see here. What do we got here? It's hard just to do like some people do, LOL. But you've got to remember, you represent an organization and your teacher.
Yeah, but you can represent and be,
Yeah, Bill from Guam. Got a bail. Good show. We'll see you all next week if schedule allows. Yep, you know it. And then have to go night kuyas.
Nice.
Listen. Here's what I tell everybody: you got to do you.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's one.
And I mean, there's, and I don't care about representing or whatever, all this other stuff. You got to do you. And there was things that with Remy, I butted heads. I butted heads with things with Remy. But at the end of the day, I was a company man, not a yes man. A company man will tell the boss he's wrong. But at the end, it was like, hey, professor, I don't like this, this, and this. But if that's what you want done, I've got your back. That being said, I'm going to tell you what I have problems with. And I've always been like that with Remy.
Yeah, and you be respectful, but you're being honest.
Right. And if it ever got to a point where it was a real big issue, I would have walked away. But Remy listened to me. He wasn't that kind of guy, and at the end of the day, it was like he would laugh because I would say, Remy, you're the good cop and I'm the bad cop. Oh, you're the bad cop. I'm the good cop. I'm like, yes, you're a calf, Remy. Sure. But dude, you're doing great work.
I appreciate it.
Everybody, like, subscribe, thumbs up, make a comment, play it in the background. And listen, we are not monetized. We do our thing.
Yeah.
Dean is not paying me to do this. We've become friends. I don't know why, but we've all become friends, and we like each other, and we get along. And here's another. You know what? Here's a person. Have you ever wanted to talk to anybody in the Filipino Kuntao?
Yeah, we covered. The only thing we covered thus far, and I definitely would love to expand on that 100%, is covered with Steve out on the Carlito Lanada section of that. But I
would not to say that Steve doesn't know what he's talking about, but here's Lanada's son, who's now the Grandmaster.
Definitely.
So, Kiruya Unyo, you should reach out and talk to my man here. If you saw the documentary, Fighting Sticks of Our Niece, that fighting our Empty Minds film, Follow Me Around the Philippines.
Okay.
The Kuntao group was Unyo's, Grandmaster Unyo's specific channel.
Yeah, we love to.
I would talk to this. So this is Kuntao with a W because Kuntao with an O. I don't think.
Yeah, definitely very familiar with Ron's Morgan. Matter of fact, that was my first exposure to FMA was Ron's Kuntao. So yeah, definitely. But I definitely want to cover more Kuntao. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Steve. There's nothing wrong with Steve.
Oh no.
You can get it from the current Grandmaster, who is, and he's a good acquaintance of ours.
Yeah, no,
he was the show quite a bit.
I'd be more than happy to get him on. Yeah, definitely.
All right, Junio, it's up to you now. You got to reach out to Dean Franco. Dean Franco.
If you tell him Dean Franco, he might be more inclined.
Oh, there you go. So, Dean, we're going to finish our thing here. So if you can just hold on for a moment, because we're going to do just a little post-show debriefing. That's what we do. It's where we talk smack about people, or each other.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm going to take you up, but you're not gone. You'll be able to hear everything we say.
Sure.
See, right now you can still hear everything I say. I can see you in a little fuzzed out window too. So,
I can't see him, so I'm going to say, hey, that guy, we probably should talk with martial arts about him.
There we go. So I had a good show tonight. Yeah, I got to apologize once again. I was late. But that's
I have to apologize because my lighting in this hotel room is not very good, but nobody's looking at me anyway.
We were short-staffed at the school, and I had to deal with something specifically, and there was no one to lock the school up because the Shirinji Kempo guys didn't show up tonight. So, I just Kimura-san showed up, but no one else showed up there. And they're only there 2 nights a week. I just let them use the floor, and But so that was that. So and of course you're on the road, so you actually got really good video being on the road.
It's weird. I'm on the hotel Wi-Fi, so I'm surprised.
Yeah. Okay. So next week's show, what do you think? What it takes to be a GM? We were talking about it.
It's a good discussion. It would be neat if we had more people, but I think there's plenty to talk about.
Yeah. And then thank you, Eric, for saying a good show.
Yeah. Thank you.
Checks in the mail.
There you go. PayPal, lots of people today.
Yeah. We can't do checks in the mail anymore. People don't know what's a check. I don't even know what those things are. And Brian, what's he got? He got great stuff. Thanks, Dean. Thanks, Datu and PG Tye. So, and there you go, Dean. Another guy says thank you.
There you
go. I can see he's still there. Oh, we got a quick question from Renee.
Trouble.
Do I need to put Dean back on the show for this one?
Gonna have to moderate Renee.
All right, come on, Renee, give it to me. I don't know what the feed, how fast the feed is here. Oh, and then
Eddie.
She used to work at the hotel.
Oh, nice. Oh, really?
Hey, magandang umaga.
Best guys. Is that his question?
I think that was at angle number 3. Just saying. Oh, what do we got here? Smith. No, we're better off saying the other one. So, okay, it was a really good Cali slap, but we're not going to see my pain, Dean. These are the kind of stuff I got to deal with all the time. We got these smart Alex. I don't know if you get those. I want to talk. We'll talk in the post show how many smart Alex that he has.
There you go.
So had a great time at the Williams this past weekend, dude. We got a lot to talk about. A lot of good stuff. I got a bunch of things that crossed the T's and dotted the I's on my information. I mean, I'm going around to, hey, Mike, I'm going around to find different pieces of history of the art. I mean, think about this. Who knows everything? No one. We all got little bits and pieces.
Yep.
Oh, the BDK power slap. Oh.
Nice.
So, and I think, well, we're talking about doing a camp next year. We've already put something on the schedule.
Excellent.
And we'll talk more about that. So, so next month. Oh, actually, wait a minute. Hey, Dean. Next month, all 3 of us will be at the FMA Invasion at the Martial Arts Symposium.
April. Matter of fact, I just scheduled the hotel.
Yeah, I just, it just pissed me off. I just did the flyer while we're on the show.
Yeah, that's
and I forgot that Dean was. I got to put Dean in the flyer.
Symposium, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm doing is a.
Did he come on the schedule yet, or no? Not that. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, he's still working that. I had to submit some more stuff because of.
It's all my fault.
It's all Ty's fault.
Oh, jeez.
Did you submit your topics?
Yep.
I'm talking about Dean.
Oh, Dean. Okay.
Yeah, I submitted a few, but I told him, whatever.
I told him underwater basket weaving. He thought that was great because there's a hotel pool, so it's all good.
Yeah.
But now I got to look for my uploads of your pictures and put you in the flyer I'm putting together because I'm actually doing a little promotional video just for the FMA track.
Oh, that'd be neat. Okay.
Yeah. Well, of course, because it's us. I need a better photo of you. that red, white, and blue. Well, it's red and white striped one. That's not a good photo of you. We need better.
I can get you. I think I have it there.
Well, we can. Is Bob going to be available in May? Because he can do a Dean one as well.
Oh, I don't know if Dean's even coming. We'll talk about that later. But I mean,
or whenever
actually,
Dean's coming. Yeah.
I got a really good picture from Steve LaFay with my cell phone. So I mean it's
I haven't seen him in God since I think it was like.
You should have showed up to Salem this weekend, but actually you won't have to worry about it because he'll be in New Hampshire too.
There you go.
I always liked him.
Oh, here's okay. Remember, I don't have Dean's picture in this yet. Okay,
and not because you don't like him.
No, it's because I don't like him.
Oh,
okay. Thank you.
So this is what we've got teaching plus Dean.
Okay, so I have to get you a better pick.
Yeah, I'll show you the one that I have. I'm just not a fan of. I mean, I use it and I get rid of the photo. I got that.
Okay, so you need a better one.
Yeah, I mean, if you could do one like with the poses, like we're all, although we almost all have the same damn pose. Damn it!
Oh, you want one? Okay, with the wet. I got you. Okay.
See how good how we look. We look badass, or we just look like ass. I don't know. I haven't figured out if it was ass or badass, but it's one of the two.
Posers.
Posers. All right. Well, listen, we'll end the show, then we'll do our talk. Okay. We'll be right back. Okay. So everybody, listen. Okay, and thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Everybody, it's rough doing this, and I don't envy the stuff that Dean goes through. I know what he goes through. I go through it, but I think it's different because there's also baggage that people have that have personal baggage. Fortunately for Dean, I think everyone likes Dean. So it makes it a little easier, but it's rough doing this, especially, you say something that someone doesn't like, or they don't like how you interpret something.
Right.
So any of you guys that are watching the shows, specifically like Dean's, take everything with a grain of salt. None of us know everything about everyone.
Yep.
And, if the information's wrong, you could possibly try to call it during the show, although I don't know how that would go. And the other thing here is, and listen, like I know his software, we get caught up while we're doing this, and we don't always see all the comments, and then we're catching up. So don't think that people are ignoring you. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if you have information, you share information. And at the end of the day, if all this stuff is about promoting, getting more people looking at Filipino martial arts. I had an interview about we were going to compete in this tournament. We were part of Team USA, and they were talking about how we went to Denver, Colorado for all this other stuff. I'm like, I don't even know where they got this interview from. It wasn't what I told them. But you know what? It was still a good interview. So I didn't care. I didn't sweat the details. The big picture was we had something going on in a team from Buffalo going to the World Championships, or members from the Buffalo going there, and it helped everything. So that's what I look at things. So, and there we go. There goes. Appreciate what you guys do. Yep, thank you. And then yes, he does, Morgan. First timer viewer. Glad to see more. Okay, great. So everybody, as always, please stay safe and stay sane. And hopefully we'll be seeing everyone again sooner in person. Looking forward to that.
Yes.
Any last minute things you got for us, Ty?
I got nothing. I'm out here in La La Land, so okay. I'm just glad to be here.
Okay. Well, listen, everybody, stay safe, stay sane, and we'll see you all on our next show.